All right, there's the red button. Yes,
Here we go.
here we go. All right, world. James Gardner here. Tammara Kennelly, president of Friesen Press, is joining me today. Tammara, how are you, my dear?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to be here talking about your book.
Talking about my book, talking
Yes.
about the work that we both do to bring some stories to the world, right?
Yes.
Cool. Let me just check my settings here. Miss Tammara, how was your weekend?
Fantastic.
Good.
It was like snowy here in the morning. It's sunny now. It's just spring is coming. It's so beautiful.
Beautiful. There you are. Perfect. We are locked and loaded. You have my undivided attention. Come on. There it is. Tammara. All right, everyone. This woman is amazing. She's been following my journey for a while, has been feeding me encouragement, feeding me inspiration on my journey to be an author and to share my story and the power of the inner child, and that the power of reconnecting to the inner child and walking in adulthood, wherever we are in our own stages of adulthood, and walking hand in hand and viewing the world through eyes of wonder and curiosity and love, leading with love always. So, Tammara, thank you again for taking time out of your busy day, your schedule to be here with me and have a conversation.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Excellent. So people that are tuning in here, again, this is just a little book Q&A, some insights and some behind the scenes conversations about the process, about what takes place in the story, anything and all, everything associated with the book. So Tammara, I will pass the mic to you and have at it. What would you like to know from JG?
Well, bear with me because somebody who publishes a lot of books, I hope our entry point can be a little bit around the writing and the feelings in the writing. And for me, the entry point with your work, that as I've been watching it progress, it took me back to, I'm a big Brené Brown fan, and of course she's a big Theodore Roosevelt fan. And you talk about your book being broken up into the arenas that you've lived in. And that took me right back to that man in the arena speech that Teddy Roosevelt gave. And bear with me for a minute, but like this just speaks to the work that you have done. You know, it talks about acknowledging the person who dares greatly, as you have with this book. Those who are vulnerable, willing to scale new heights and put their reputation on the line. It's an ode to the individual who enters the arena, and though they may stumble and fall, they know there is no greater service than to follow their passion and purpose. Whew! Like, that just summarizes what you've done. And so I found that really kind of spoke to the work you've done. So my question to you is, like, talk to me about this journey. You've been on this 2-year journey writing your book. You're done. Where has it left you?
First off, thank you for reading that. That Roosevelt speech is always a go-to. Always. It's left me peaceful. I truly feel a man who has traveled life on a insatiable search to find himself. And I can sit here, Tammara, and I honestly feel like for the first time in my life, I'm comfortable in my own skin and completely comfortable. And I truly believe that finding myself means finding the little Jimmy that I left long ago. And I think, as you know, a lot of the work that I do, it's that blend. It's that inner child with the adult, and how we do everything: building a business, having a relationship, going for a walk, going to work out, writing a book, whatever it is. It's that wisdom blend of old and young.
Beautiful. It's like everything that was inside of you was kind of purged out onto the papers, and it left you peaceful.
Yeah, like yeah, like a huge purge. It's and it's interesting. There's definitely some of those purge moments in the story as well, where yeah, it was just getting rid of things that no longer served me
Mm,
in the world,
mm,
whether egoically attained by me on my travels or force fed me by society on my travels with expectations and all this, and just getting back to the standing in my truth, which is just being naked, honestly,
mm.
being naked, just discarding everything that I've acquired in my travels to say, no, 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 no. It's back to square one. Who am I? I'm standing here naked, right? And thankfully I'm wearing clothes now, but as I as I progressed out of the jungle, once I kind of came to terms with who I am, then the clothes that I put on and everything that attached to me directly served my compass and the truth within, for sure.
So we laugh about you wearing clothes right now, but you really are, you've kind of been in this little bubble of writing and being nurtured with that writing and preparing it. And you told me, well, I told you, you've taken everything on the inside and put it on the pages. And you're just about to share those pages. Like, you're already really sharing a lot of what you put in there through these live events. And there are going to be times when you feel naked. It's a very vulnerable feeling putting your stories out there. Have you started to feel that yet?
Yes, I definitely felt that a week ago. I mean, this is day 7 of this first kind of putting myself out there, and yeah, I had some gun shy moments because again, I'm used to being on camera and I'm used to talking from a coaching or conversationalist standpoint, sharing my thoughts, my views, clients, this, that. But then when I turn it all back at me and then share insights into the world that I've created over the past 2 years, yeah, it's been a little nerve wracking, to say the least. And that's where my gratitude lies for my community and the amount of support that I've seen in these 7 days of personal messages, texts, engagement, whether it's sharing excerpts from my writing, which I've never done. This is the first handful of days that I've done that, and getting some responses back have just been quite emotionally humbling, to be honest. Yeah.
Mm. What a gift to have that soft place to fall when you're really becoming more of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I don't know why I always equate it to the word peace. I can't think of I feel like I want a more profound word than peaceful. And yet it just fits so beautifully. I think peace as an artist is a beautiful thing.
Mm.
Peace as a human being is a beautiful thing. When
Mhm.
we create art, a lot of times we do create art for ourselves, of course, right? We honor that creative spark. And we also know a lot of times for us to do our work and to really step into this calling, it has to be judged, to use
Mm.
a term. It has to be consumed. It has to be taken um, and and put into someone's subjective experience of your emotional tapestry.
Mhm.
So that will be another stage
Yep.
when people actually dive into the book and start reading it. Uh, yeah, check back with me then. I may I may need a crash cart in case I have a jammer. I don't know.
Oh, so looking at all the different stories in the book, I found a lot of crossovers where you and I have like really deeply shared passions around different subjects. So I want to jump into the triathlon piece if you'll indulge me.
Mm,
It was an interesting It's interesting because I say to my authors, writing, well, birthing a book is like a triathlon. That first leg is the writing. It's your swim, right? You're on the beach. You're waiting for your wade. You're getting in. It's chaos. You might get kicked in the face. You get out of the water. You peel off your swimsuit and you're getting ready for that bike. And that's kind of like where you're at right now. That second leg is your bike. And it's like, oh, I just need my goo gel to give me some energy to get through this next leg of the race. And you're kind of there. And then you're going to have a third leg with the selling and marketing of your book. So my first question is, how do you refuel for each leg of this journey? How can we, as your readers' circle of support, help you refuel for each leg and get ready for this next part? What does that look like for you?
That's a great question. Thank you for that. It's continued inspiration of what you're doing. And so a like, a share, a simple 2-word engagement, or whatever it is, those are the goo gels to me. Honestly, they really are. Yeah. When I share a post, and it could be anything, and it resonates with one person for some reason, it speaks to them, that speaks to me. And I don't take that lightly. So I acknowledge that, and that's how I refuel, to be honest with you. And so the support that I'm getting is great. And it is. I know I'm in pre-sales right now of this first signature edition, and yes, it's about pre-selling the book, and yet it's still just the feedback. It's still ultimately just, I hear you, James. You speak to me, or I get what you're saying, and whatever the context is. That to me right now is what I need, and it helps me to know that I'm on the right track, and helps me to stay refueled and stay at the top of my game.
Such a gift of words for somebody to say, I'm listening, or I'm bearing witness. I see you. Yeah.
There's no greater gift to be seen, heard, and understood.
Yeah.
We all want that. We're all dying for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So birthing a book is like a triathlon, and you decided to do one with one arm?
I did.
More?
The chapter is called A Clipped Wing, to be honest. And yes, and like you said, the writing, I think you said the writing process is like the swim, right? And so I barely survived the swim. So yes, so I did a triathlon, Tammara, and I gave myself 6 months of training. That's it. And now, full disclosure, I was coming off of rowing, and so I was in top shape. I just had to transition, so it wasn't like I was a couch potato and saying, "Oh, I'm going to do a full Ironman in 6 months." That said, though, I did some very unique styles of training, and when I get to Maryland, I'm ready to go. 15 minutes into the swim, 15. I hear a loud thud underneath the water. My left shoulder just completely pops. It was like this dull, when you're underwater, you get this like echoey kind of reverb sound. So between that and the stinging jellyfish, mind you, yeah, that was fun. And a few kicks in the face, as you mentioned. I had to deal with finishing the swim with literally a shoulder that was, every time I brought it up, I could just feel it was dying. And then, I made it out of the swim. I was quite a time behind of what my go-to was. But in the Ironman world, it's like, that's the beauty of Ironman. It's anything can happen. And then what happens next is what defines the moment. And so I couldn't even get my wetsuit off. I couldn't put my bike helmet on. I couldn't raise this arm. Far be it from me to travel all the way to Maryland to pull the plug. So I hopped on the bike And uh, it was great to get on the bike because I felt like, okay, here I go. This is a little bit more my sweet spot. And then I realized I couldn't put pressure. I mean, I couldn't get down and hold this way. So I had
Yeah.
to kind of ride with this arm on the crossbar like this, and then this one. So I couldn't really crouch down. I was always cockeyed on one side. Make matters worse, in Maryland, it was 2 big loops of the bike course. The half of the loop of both loops was out in an estuary by the Atlantic Ocean. And it just so happened that was this huge like wind gust coming in off the ocean. I'm talking headwind, like I was standing still on the bike. People I had passed on the bike when we started, they blew by me out in the estuary. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. I don't even know if I can stand upright. I was going so slow, could not get any leverage. And that's when I thought about pulling the plug. And I didn't. I kept it going. And I got to the run, and then, I had to run with the arm by my side or straight down for the most part. And I did it. I finished. I finished it. And it's interesting you bring that up because it damn near killed me. And though what it did do is it was the final nail in my coffin that sent me on my death spiral, we'll call it, of my implosion in my life. Yeah.
Wow, that takes a lion's heart to get through that. That's pretty incredible. Oof.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you though. And I got it. And it's actually right here. Got my Ironman medal and finisher. Great. Will I ever do one again? Probably not.
No.
No, I'd cross that off the list,
Tick.
Tick. Moving on. Let's write a book.
Well, we know the next few weeks are one of our shared favorite shows is coming out with their next season, Outlander. And so I read that you had a Scottish grandfather, a sage nonetheless. I need to know about him.
Wow. He was my sage.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that matters. Yes. It's interesting. The Scotland theme resurfaces in the book quite a lot. And obviously spurred on by my grandfather, Malcolm, in the Rhode Island arena. In the beginning, we get to meet him, and just a hell of a man, funny, witty, charming, playful. I realized in this book writing journey how much of he embodied the inner child. I forgot all that. And I think that's why everybody loved my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see it now. And before I started writing, he was just somebody that I was like, yeah, I had a great relationship and I loved him. And I always held him in high regard. I can't believe how much he impacted my life. Was there for me when no one was, or not no one, but I mean, my parents weren't the voice. My parents weren't the oracle in my life. They just weren't.
Mm-hmm.
It was my grandfather, and we would pontificate over some scotch and antics out in the backyard, or Charlie Parker records and jazz, or what was the show we used to watch on Sundays? Lawrence Welk show. Of course, I'm dating myself here, right? But
yeah,
that was the thing you did when you got around the TV. And I would go. I mean, as a teenager, I would drive when I was old enough, or I was only half a mile down the road, so I could walk. But when I was older, I would drive and sit with him and watch Lawrence Welk. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
I always had an affinity, Tammara, for history. Like I just very nostalgic. It's in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
So I always looked at Malcolm, and I still do, as my gateway to that golden era of Hollywood, that time frame that seems like a fairy tale to me. Yeah. So Malcolm is is a huge part. Everyone that's read the book so far seems to love Malcolm. He's just one of those characters that you see in a movie, has just a small handful of lines, but he steals the show every time he's on screen. That's him.
Mm.
And his Scottish background, which is, as I said, plays a big part. And it's something in me that I've always been drawn to Scotland. People that know me, I'm an Anglo-Saxon mutt. That's me. However, if you were to ask me, I say I'm Scottish. That's just it. Like, yes, I'm Irish and English and German, and everyone's got some Viking in them back in that day, because everyone, yeah. Anyway, just the way they conquered. However, at the end of the day, no, I'm Scottish. That's the card that I play for some reason. It just feels right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yep.
So you tell a lot of stories in this book. You talk a lot about a lot of people, a lot of famous people. You've had a lot of interesting interactions. And now the book is about to come out, right? You're working on it. You're going to publish it. It's going to be out. Are there any stories in there where you're reflecting, going, ooh, that's not going to sit well with them. I wish I hadn't written that. And you take these backsies.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had this conversation with my ex recently, and I said, the only person that's shamed in the book or put in a bad light is me. I said, that's it. And that's the truth. So I truly feel that, well, first off, everything is truth. Truth, it is what it is. And I told anecdotes, and I have these little subplots and villager moments of celebrity goodies and things like that, because they serve the story, because they serve my character development, or the quest of Jim in that New York, LA, those arenas, to really figure out what the heck is going on. And so I don't think there's going to be any shock and awe with some of these people in the book. There is there is one subplot, if you will, that comes back to haunt Jim later on in his life. And I think the person that's involved in that back in the New York days, she's probably going to be like, oh, here we go again. Just like I will be doing the same, because it's something that her and I were involved with that we both like roll our eyes at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those like, oh, really? We did that 26 years ago. Really?
Mm-hmm.
One of those scratch the head moments. I have full acceptance of it. I mean, that's part of leading with love and being all in with love. There is no shame or guilt or anything. However, she's definitely a well-known celebrity, so she's probably going to scratch her head and go like, oh God, here we go. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see once I get into phase 2, and we'll see when I get her on our Facebook Live or something, and we're talking about it. We'll see how open she is then. But,
yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Oh, Tammara, we all have a tangled web. We all have stories to tell.
I was just saying the other day, there's no shame, there's no dark subplot. It's just when you know better, you do better. And you have to go through these things to grow into the person that knows better and does better. And everything else is just in service to the learning.
There it is. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Some paths are more bumpy than others. Those Scottish paths can be very rocky.
True.
So I have to ask about Robin Williams, because you didn't expound on that in some of what you shared with me. I want to know more about it. I know he has Louis, he had Lewy body dementia like my dad, so he's somebody that I really resonate with and love with, and he was so funny. And so I want to hear that story. How did you know Robin Williams or interact with him?
Yes, good old Robin.
Oh, Mork.
Mort from work. It's one of my most cherished moments. Robin plays a very important part in the book, in the LA arena, and then down the road, in the jungle arena, when Jim goes into the wilderness to find himself. Um, I'll start by saying, obviously, being in New York and LA, I was in LA at the time, and I've had my fair share of celebrity interactions and experiences and so forth. That's as do a lot of people that live in those cities. Fair enough, and work at nightclubs and bars and lounges like myself. When I started out in acting, I've had the name game, meaning people think I look like so and so and this and that and that. I look like someone's cousin's brother, first uncle. I just have one of those faces. It seems like, I don't know, just always get it. My agents always said, young Robin Williams, always, always. And young Robin Williams and David Duchovny when the X-Files was big in the 90s. So those two, which both are in the book. Anyway, we're not talking about Dave, we're talking about Robin. So I'm in LA, and this was a very pivotal moment, Tammara, where I was starting to battle some depression. I was struggling in the business, just got married, got that pull for real life, normal life, some expectations, some steering by my wife at the time to say, hey, listen, when are you going to hang it up, mister? Right? So I was dealing with a lot, and I was working at Bridge Restaurant in Los Angeles, pre-shift. No, it's 6 o'clock. It's not really happening yet. Sorry. We had a divider wall. I was the bar lounge manager. So I had this huge bar area, lounge, everything. And then there was a wall behind us, and then the restaurant. Okay. Big restaurant. So when people came into the restaurant, I didn't see everybody coming in. So in the bar area, which gets happening later, I'm just hanging out, doing my thing, standing there, no one's there. I go like that, and here comes Robin Williams around the corner. And he comes up to the bar, and he just looks up past me at the back bar. Tequila shot, please. And right away I knew, like, this is not the Robin we know, where everyone knows. This is a Robin who's at dinner and he needs something to take the edge off, so I gave him a shot of tequila down the hatch, and he just smiled, and he kind of went back to his table. And so here I am thinking, okay, there's an older me across the bar. I'm the younger version. He's in pain inside. I can sense it. I'm in pain inside. He comes back. I knew he was going to come back. I had the bottle of Cazadores tequila on the bar with 2 shot glasses. And so I said, when he came back up, I said, he just was surprised. And I said, oh, it's against the law to drink tequila by yourself. And so I poured 2 shots, and we did it. And we shot the tequila, no training wheels, none of that salt and lime shit. And then he was just like, yeah, dinner's really good. And all of a sudden I could tell, because I knew he was drinking at the table too. And the point about the drinking is just that I could see the transformation to the Robin that everyone knows. And every time, so, he came back 3 times. And It's hard. Yeah. And the third time, um, when we raised our shot glasses, like I just knew. I held up my shot glass and I just said, "Captain, my captain." And I looked him dead in the eye, and so we did a shot, and yeah, and so I learned so much in that time because I saw myself literally, and and what I could become, and it rears itself later on in the book as a reminder to Jim, the struggling Jim, and to see the path, of course, that he went down, and knowing that in my later years when I moved to Vancouver and going through my own shit, it just really hit home, like such a powerful reminder to me. And yeah, that's my Robin Williams story, and I've just to share and how in the book I've tied it in is Christmas is a theme throughout the book because I'm a Christmas elf, and I'll just say that those 3 visits by Mr. Williams at the bar that evening were the 3 ghosts visiting me from the Christmas Carol, and the transformation of what could happen to me. And it circles back around on Christmas Eve towards the end of the book. So I'll leave it at that.
I love it.
Yeah.
What a gift for you to recognize that. Some people may have missed that moment, and they say the universe will throw a pebble, then it will throw a rock, then it will throw a bigger rock, and then it will hit you with a boulder if you're not listening for the pebble, right?
Right.
And so you heard the pebble, like there was your pebble to say, have a look, young man, at what your life could become. It's pretty incredible that you saw that.
Yeah, I've given a few talks about that moment and some of the keynotes that I've done, and it's always, I can't talk about it without getting upset or just getting emotional, right? Because it's just such a moment, and I think, like you just said, the pebble in the book, there's full circle moments everywhere. Life is nothing but a series of pebbles. Open your eyes. There's so much to learn and so much to see that we just look for the cataclysmic event. We look for the crater impact to show us, oh, that was that, or that's the way to go. Well, that's no, right? That's, what does the inner child do? The inner child sits on the grass and plays with a leaf of grass for hours, or searches for a 4-leaf clover, because those are the small pebble moments. There's beauty in that. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, good old Robin.
So we can't finish up without talking about music. I think I said this to you one of the first times we talked, that like music my life is stamped by different songs. Like I have, I think 600 songs in my playlist that every song I hear, it's like, oh, that moment. Yes. Like I love music. And you shared that each arena starts with a chorus section, and super unique format to your book. And so I'm just curious, where did you come up with this format? And then I also want to know, what's your earliest memory of music being impactful in your life?
Love that. It's one of my favorite moments in the book too.
Oh.
I love music. So nice job. 600 songs on a playlist. I think you got me beat. Well done. You definitely got me beat. Well, the core, just to clarify too, the chorus sections are chorus in terms of Greek chorus talking, not necessarily musically related, although it does stem from music choruses back in the day when people were telling of tales and so forth. So the chorus sections are the Shakespearean moments. They're just my love of theater and my love of the stage, and we are all characters on the stage of life. So mine's just a chapter made up of a lot of chapters of a certain story on the stage of life. And so I wanted to keep with the arena theme. Like, the conscious warrior thing in me was something that was always there. And Jimmy was always fascinated by the hero. And I still am. And the warrior and the arenas and that verbiage, if you will, of just style. And so it felt great to bridge the gaps between each arena with a chorus section. Speaking of our wayward traveler now goes to the foreign land south of, the mythical land of the concrete jungle where high-rise buildings and enter if you will, right? Then just kind of that prose versy style in my own shtick. Because at the end of the day, it's a blend of reality and fantasy, the entire book.
Cool.
Because that's little Jimmy and James lives life with a blend of reality and fantasy.
Yeah.
Getting to that point took the entire story of my life basically to realize that, Jimmy just wanted fantasy. Then Jim's like, fuck that. Fantasy doesn't work. It's reality. Right. And then he loses both, and he's like, well, what's going on? And then it's about a reconnection of the two. That said, music, I've touched on it before, and I'll get to your question. I just want to say there's music pouring out of the words on this, and energetically. Some people may not pick it up, but in 600 and some days of writing, or whatever it was, 607, I never wrote one day without music. Not one day without some type of score in the background, in my headphones, on my phone, on speakerphone, wherever I was, whatever it took. Because as an artist, for me, like you, I suspect music is the gateway to my emotional availability. And if I'm going to write about 9 Hearts, the rowing race that defined my life, all I have to do is listen to the music from that section, and it brings me right there. Like a quick time warp, just like you said, music has that ability, right? Same thing with a lot of the soundtracks and scores, whether they were from movies, it would elicit the exact emotion that I was like, this chapter or this scene is about this. This is the intention. Fuck that score for that fits perfectly. Boom. And all of a sudden it just seemed to open the channels for me.
Cool. So we'll listen for the music in the book. That's the challenge.
That is the challenge.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. And honestly, when I shared this beginning of the week about the music, I had quite a number of messages, and that's why I started sharing now some of my posts. I'm sharing some insights into the music because I've never shared my book writing score. I've done my lip syncs and stuff, the fun stuff, but I haven't shared anything behind the scenes, never, in terms of, oh, this is my go-to, or this is what I listened to in this particular section of the book when I was writing it. So because of that, now I'm sharing that, which feels amazing. Now you said, when did music first come to little Jimmy? Right? Yeah. It was the beautiful angelic voice of Karen Carpenter.
Wow.
Coming through a transistor radio on the back patio with my mom and dad. I'm going to say I was probably 7 years old. Okay. And I remember my parents, amazing parents, love them. I don't know where I got my artistic, emotional availability from and all of that stuff. Because maybe I got it from Malcolm. I had to, because definitely, or the Milkman, Malcolm or the Milkman, one of the two. They've just never done that.
Yeah.
However, that afternoon, late afternoon on the patio, it was the first time I saw my parents' eyes closed, and they were just listening to her voice.
Mm.
And I was like, huh. As a little kid, I'm like, oh, right. And so of course, I played copycat, closed my eyes, and I remember I was like, wow, like just the voice. They long to be close to you. I can't sing, but you know what I mean. When the angels got together and decided to, I mean, Karen Carpenter, she's just got that voice. To this day, if I hear it, I stop what I'm doing. I don't move. Can't, right? So that was the first time, Tammara. And for little Jimmy, it was a light bulb moment, because until that point, his emotional stuff was from the TV, was from Star Trek, and from things that he could feel and he could see the visualness, but there's no visual coming out of a transistor radio. Yet he had that ability to feel just through the music, and so music has been his weapon ever since. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Patio days. Sun-kissed orange soda was my go-to back then.
Oh, that's terrible.
I can't remember it on that specific day with my mom and dad, but I guarantee you I probably had 9 times out of 10. I definitely had a can of soda on the patio, so it was probably a sun-kissed orange. That's all I drank. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful moment. I share that moment in the book when I first start talking about music. Yeah. Thanks for offering that conversation.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, where are we at? My God, we've been talking. This is amazing.
So good.
Anything else? Or
I never thought about this, James, but really, like, there is the score to our lives, but the score starts with our parents. You're right. Like, it's all the music that they surrounded us with as we were growing up. That's the pre-score.
Sure.
Huh.
I mean, I didn't have siblings, but it's a classic case of, I have friends that I have my best friend has 4 brothers. Of course, even the youngest brother thinks that whatever the oldest brother was listening to was the shits, right? Because you get involved, your doorway's open to what is around you. And that's your musical tapestry when you first start, and it goes back to your parents.
Yeah.
And for me, it goes back to Charlie Parker too, right? With Malcolm on Sundays, and I'll tell you, just to tie in a little full circle moment, because I tell you, this is my book, and I've had some of these moments. One of the jobs which I took that starts a specific series of chapters in New York City later on in New York, is I got a job working at the Stanhope Hotel, which was the hotel that Charlie Parker passed away in. And I remember walking up for my job interview up Fifth Avenue, I'm just looking up at the window saying, Malcolm told me that he passed away up there somewhere in one of those top floors at age 34 or 33 or something. And you have those moments. It's just, those are those pebble moments. They're there for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Gosh, the world feels so big, and yet it's so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're amazing. Thank you.
Can't wait to get my hands on the book.
Something tells me you're going to get your hands on it before a lot of other people. So there you go.
Maybe.
Maybe. Hmm. Well, Tammara, I appreciate holding space for me to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, and not only my stories, but also the inner child and the beautiful moments that are around us. We all have a story. I don't claim to be any more special than all of us. We all have a story to tell, and we're all artists. I truly believe that we are all artists somehow. That's all kids did when we were young, is we created every day, some way, somehow. That's what play is. Play is just creation in the moment, right? So, ergo creative, ergo artist.
Yep. Love it.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you. I know how busy you are, and I super humbled that you agreed to share some conversation with me.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me. It's been wonderful. I'm loving watching the momentum and the build, and can't wait for the book to come out and to read it and support you. And it's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And my community out there, wherever this live finds you in a recording and you jump in and out, little snippets, these are all for you to give you glimpses into the world of the inner child and what it can do for all of us. So we are coming into week 2 of this signature pre-sale launch. I need your support. I need your help. The inner child in all of us is going to ask you to help and get your pre-sale copy. Links are always around on my social media. I really appreciate it. Don't hesitate to reach out, message me. I will hold space for any of you that have any questions, that even need an ear. This is what I do as a coach and listener. I'm offering that time. So whatever you need, I'm here. And I trust that this all finds you all well out there in Facebook, IGTV land, and so forth. All right. Tammara, thank you for your time. We'll see you soon.
Been a pleasure. Thank you.
Ciao, everyone.